Hi there, my name is Finn Prager, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. So first, a little about my education and career. I'm currently Associate Professor of Public Administration here at Dominguez Hills. I'm also co-director of the South Bay Economics Institute, and I'm really proud of the work that my colleague and co-director Jose Martinez and I have put together to build this institution from the ground up. I'm also a fellow at the CREATE Center at USC, which is a Homeland Security Center. I worked there for 2 years following my PhD, which I also got from USC at the Price School of Public Policy. I came over to Los Angeles to study for a Master's in Public Policy, also from the Price School, following an undergraduate degree in International Relations from the London School of Economics. As you can see there, I've got a varied educational history, and my research interests reflect that a little. My research falls broadly under the umbrella of the policy and economics of disasters and other extreme events. I've also researched environmental policy, specifically in disasters related to terrorism, and often I use economic modeling, particularly CGE modeling, to do that. I've published work containing or related to techniques and methods taught in this course and others in journals such as Risk Analysis, Research in Transportation, Business and Management, Transportation Research, Contemporary Economic Policy, Transport Policy, as well as a number of others. I've also published 2 books with co-authors, one on multi-hazard economic analysis and another on terrorism with Gus Martin, who you may have had in some of your other classes. I've also consulted for numerous different government agencies and non-profits, including the Customs and Border Protection, DHS Office of Strategic Planning, Analysis and Risk, also the National Biosurveillance Integration Center, as well as numerous other organizations listed here. As you can tell, I'm not from the US, I'm from the UK. I was born and raised in Leeds, Yorkshire. I do apologize for my unusual accent. That's a very Yorkshire accent. And within Leeds, I grew up in a kind of unique community. So it was very diverse, and that's something that really attracts me to Dominguez Hills and makes me feel at home here. As you can see there, our orchestra for the school is a steel band. Every year there's a significant carnival in Chapeltown, where I grew up. Just next door is Hare Hills, which is the densest area in Europe. You can see here, these families are really packed into this place, and there's a lot of interesting communities and cultures in that area. On the other hand, Yorkshire has some really amazing open space. It's, as you can see here, the Yorkshire Moors. In the city centre of Leeds, there's beautiful Victorian arcades and the Leeds Town Hall. It's a really unique building, which was built to reflect and promote civic pride. But most of my pride from my hometown goes through Leeds United Football Club, who are doing well at the moment, so I'm excited. I really enjoy my family, friends, and music. You can see me here playing my guitar. Here's a picture of my wife and my daughter on our year in London. So my parents are kind of alternative types. You can see here my parents' community garden in Leeds, and then on the right, some of our friends have some you might say alternative land out in the countryside there. It's all very rough and ready and a little bit hippie. Another side of Yorkshire is the city of York, which is just beautiful. Leeds is about 200 miles north of London. It's funny, when I first moved to London to do my undergraduate degree at the London School of Economics, a lot of people couldn't even understand my accent. So again, I apologize if that's not the easiest. There I met my wife, and we actually spent another year. After she had completed her PhD, she was able to teach there for a year. That was when my daughter was about 1 year old, which was lovely. Here you can see some of the times that my daughter, who decided that she didn't have jet lag and just needed to be up all night, so we walked together around London at 4 a.m. in the morning, which was quite fun. My family are Quakers, and my grandparents, very fortunate for me, actually used to be the wardens at Swarthmore Hall, which is the kind of birthplace of Quakerism up in the Lake District, which is just a beautiful area of the country. So I was very lucky to be able to visit them and visit that area a lot when I was a kid. You can see here my daughter doing one of the walks that we used to do when I was younger, and my grandma showing my family around the Beatrix Potter's house. If you've heard of Peter Rabbit, that's the author's house. I also really love swimming, and here you can see some of my family swimming in a very cold lake. So a little bit about my teaching philosophy. I'm really interested in this distinction between learning and performance. So performance is something that you can measure in your class. That's your assignments, your exams, your discussions. The problem is that performance in these measurable class assignments is not a very good predictor of learning, which is permanent knowledge change. And that's what we're all really after here, is for you to come out of your degree having learned something that you're going to take into your career and really benefit you moving on. Often people can do really well in a class and then not really learn things if they're tested a year later. No one wants that. In all my classes, I'm really interested in high impact practices, and these have been proven to really benefit you as students, and we're all interested in student success. So most of my classes include collaborative projects, they're writing intensive, and I provide a lot of feedback on those elements. There's also an importance placed on diversity and global learning. I do teach the capstone course in both the master's and the undergraduate programs, and I try to include projects that are similar to that in other classes that I teach. I also place a high emphasis on service and community-based learning. So most projects encourage you to engage with the community or to engage in public service in some way. Another idea that I'm really keen on is desirable difficulties. They've been proven again and again in studies to enhance learning and instruction. And now there's some very simple things you can do. You can vary the conditions of practice. You can space out your study or practice sessions. You can really revise really well. These are desirable difficulties. I'm also really keen on transparency principles. I hope to make it clear why we're doing this work. If you're not clear, please ask. The ultimate aim of these classes is for you to learn. And if I'm transparent about that, hopefully you'll learn better. You can also be transparent with me about where you're at and where you need help. I hope that's given you a little bit of a background as to me and my teaching philosophy. And I'm really excited to teach this course.